Tian in the early game with. And the Elise certainly going to do a good job of that one. Ezreal locked in despite the fact Senna was available. Interesting priorities coming through for BLG.
It's again abandoning bot side. They're saying, hey, look, we got Aphelios. We're not looking to fight anytime soon. We're going to play it back. We're going to farm. Can still go for something along the lines of the Yuumi if they'd like to. Although usually we see it paired with a more aggressive jungler, the likes of the Olaf that's been banned away. So may not want to go towards that style, but could go for the Tam Kench or anything along these lines that is just this. We're going to put our hands up, play passive, and just pick up every CS we can.
I feel like Senna does that better than Ezreal, though. That's one of those things.
You got a point. You got a point.
Where I'm like, I don't know why you don't just lock in the Senna there. She's so damn strong right now. Gimgoon, though, once again, going to be playing these kind of defensive topside players like the Mordekaiser, like the Set.
Is it Doinb Flex as well, though? So there is a little bit of movement here. Doinb has played this mid, so we're not entirely certain where this Mordekaiser is going to just yet.
Shenanigans are afoot, as is often the way with FPX. It was always the way that the game was played back in 2019 at the World Championship. The mid and top flex was a necessity for all teams, and a lot of that stemmed from FPX.
I mean, it's mid to top flex. There's mid to support flex with Nautilus. There's a lot of flexing that FPX are going to do, and they want to try and flex on BLG this game. Fiora for Kingen. Okay. So, this okay. So basically, if
Yeah,
the Mordekaiser,
me too.
if the Mordekaiser going top, this is a really good pick. But as we just said, Doinb can take this mid. So what I'd like to see FPX do is ban away some of the problem picks for Mordekaiser in the mid lane here. So then they can actually send this Mordekaiser mid and counter pick the Fiora in the top side.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with this one. I wasn't expecting a Fiora pick, and I certainly wasn't expecting it this early in the draft. But with an Azir ban coming on through, it's very clear that FPX believes this Fiora is going top. There's no chance of it flexing.
I think it'd be Azir. The LeBlanc's already banned away. So if they can go again towards maybe the likes of Syndra, something else that can just be an issue for the Mordekaiser or set up ganks onto this Mordekaiser, well then they should be in pretty good shape here. Zoe would be another one I think would work really well as a ban here. So FPX then can send Doinb on this Mordekaiser. You can pick up something that can work really well into this Fiora, and then they're sitting pretty if you're an FPX fan.
The thing about that Fiora pick is it is so early in the draft. Typically, as you said, you want it as a counter pick. You want to be able to set your team up. But honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if FPX still just sends the Mordekaiser up top. It'd be a very FPX thing to do, just to be like, we don't really care about what you're drafting, we just care about what we're drafting.
Support will be locked in here for BLG to keep the flexibility open. And Alistar, which we haven't seen a huge amount of, but one of my favorite supports, so always happy to see it picked up.
Well, on the other side, FPX now need something to go with the Aphelios and something to go either mid or top. You've got to bear in mind that Mordekaiser can be a flex. We've seen Doinb take it to the mid lane before.
With the Alistar lock-in on the BLG side, there's a potential for some dives on the bottom lane, particularly around that level 6 mark. You got the Elise that can pair really well on those diving plays. The only problem is that you've got an Ezreal. Ezreal doesn't do so hot on those dives if he doesn't have the likes of the Sheen completed, although it does have enough damage in the ult to maybe facilitate that, but it's still a little bit risky for BLG when they're going off against the likes of the Rakan, who can charm so many people underneath the turret.
Sylas grabbed up here, probably for Doinb in the mid lane. And now BLG have to decide what they want to match up for FoFo here. Could well be that Irelia. This is a lot of AD damage. This is a lot of melee bruises.
It makes it pretty handy for the likes of FPX, though, because no matter where this flexibility is kind of going on BLG side, you can take a lot of armor runes. Yes, you got to be careful of Meteor's Elise. Will mean you've got to take a little bit of MR, but at least the build paths for the likes of an early Bramble Vest for Gimgoon will pay off with both the Irelia and into the likes of Kingen on that top side.
Yeah, it's feeling a little bit like we will just see Gimgoon up in the top lane here with the Mordekaiser. We'll see Doinb on this Sylas. Sylas, something that Doinb has played a lot of here in the LPL. It's something that he's very comfortable on. Not too many amazing ultimates, though, on the side of BLG to steal away.
That's what I was looking at there. I mean, Grand Challenge doesn't do too much for you. Elise is pretty much negligible. The Vanguard's Edge isn't doing too much. The only one I'm really looking at is Ezreal, or even taking the Alistar ultimate, and then you can start to get a lot of these trades going and just be a really strong in the skirmishes. It feels like, though, when I look at the draft, BLG have got FPX's number. With the Fiora pick, if this can get rolling early, especially with some help coming through from the Elise, I think this can set up Kingen for a lot of success. You've even got that Irelia there in the mid lane as well to act as another split pusher in this composition. So if BLG can get off to a relatively good start, which they can do with this Elise pick, I think they can take this game off of FPX. This is not going to be coming down to draft now. This is now about FPX and BLG executing in this game.
We'll see if they've got what it takes. FPX winning game number 2 of the series. BLG started strong in game number 1. Now one apiece. BLG look to break their curse, not only against a strong team, but against the LPL champions of 2019, against the world champions of 2019. As we move into the third and final game of the day between these two squads.
It feels like we're going back to what made BLG so strong. 2 winning matchups in the solo lanes. A strong early game jungler for Meteor. This is where BLG were most confident and when they were hitting their peak. Now against FPX, we need to see them put on that peak performance so they can win this final game of the series.
Such an important point on the standings for BLG. If they were able to get this one, keeps their dreams alive in this split of the LPL. They're 2-5 right now. They can really do with a win on the board.
So this is where it becomes difficult for FPX and why I'm giving the draft over to BLG. Doinb is on the Sylas, loves to get out and skirmish, likes to do a lot of funny business in these early game skirmishes. But when I look over at the BLG composition, FoFo works wonderful in these early game skirmishes as well. I'd even give the edge over to FoFo in this example. Meteor and Tian do very similar things, but the CC that Meteor offers can be so much more clutch in these level 1 to 5 engagements. So BLG have the opportunity to try and scrap for the likes of Scuttle Crabs. If you've got FoFo pushing in the mid lane as well, get in and try and put pressure onto Tian in the jungle alongside that.
We mentioned Tian in the jungle. Him and Meteor, they've been going toe-to-toe in this series. And Meteor, he's been hit or miss. Game 1 looked absolutely on control of everything. Game number 2 was on the Echo. Didn't have an impact in the early game. Couldn't match Tian. This time, though, he's the one on the Elise. This is what we saw from Tian in game number 2. Up against the Lee Sin. It's a relatively even matchup, and it's a match that's down to skill.
And it's going to be one that will need to influence both these solo lanes on either side. Meteor will be looking towards Kingen more than likely to try and help him out. Pressure Gimgoon here and try and get this Fiora into a great position. We saw how much prior in the LPL a Fiora can take over a game. And as well in the mid lane, you can see FoFo is putting pressure down onto Doinb. This makes it so much more difficult for Tian to have that early game control we talked about in the last game. And now it's up to BLG to try and make their presence known and keep the snowball from this early game lane pressure they're getting rolling.
FoFo going to be able to crash a massive wave here in the mid lane. Doinb might miss 1 or 2 minions here. You can see the CS advantage already stacking up massively in favor of FoFo. But Meteor, we mentioned he has to snowball here.
Riposte was used though. This could make this gank a little bit more dangerous, but no Death's Grasp.
Meteor has to be the one to tank the tower to start things off. He will be able to. And they don't even take a singular tower shot. That was immaculate.
I'm not going to lie, I didn't expect Gimgoon to go down that quickly. But the burst from Meteor and Kingen is coming perfectly for BLG. And this is what we wanted to see. Meteor having an early game champion, setting up Kingen for success. And now they can look to do this once more time with FoFo. FoFo's been pushing in aggressively and then look to punish Gimgoon. And if Tian comes to join, Tian as well, because they've got the numbers advantage.
See if FoFo will be able to crash that wave and therefore move around. But it looks like it's actually going to be pushing towards him, so maybe won't get the opportunity to roam for a little while. In fact, he's going to be roamed onto. Crisp is here. Flash came out, and that means FoFo's in trouble right now. Ignite not available for any of these characters, but Doinb gets the killing blow anyway.
Fantastic turnaround from FPX. It was all in favor of the BLG solo laners, but it's not a fair fight if Crisp is going to move from this bottom side of the map. And you can see how far Lwx is playing back as a result, not giving the opportunity for Xinmo and Jinjiao to try and get something back in their favor.
And it does mean that Doinb's closed that CS gap. He also gets a kill for himself. That has reduced the early game advantage that FoFo found for himself in the matchup.
And look at where Crisp is now. He'll be here to help Lwx pick up all the farm underneath this turret. So Lwx and Crisp lose pretty much nothing for that fight. Yes, Crisp is a little bit behind on levels, but for turning around and helping Doinb in this mid lane, that means so much more.
Crisp doesn't find Jinjiao, but he will stop Xinmo from heading back to base. Not the end of the world from the side of BLG, though. If they'd found the AD carry, that could have been a big deal. Nice stun from Kingen onto Gimgoon. That's the power of this Fiora.
Just wait until she has that level 6. This is where it becomes far more difficult for Gimgoon to enact a game plan. Has missed out on a good amount of CS and gold because that dive forced him to lose out a bit of creeps. So this is why you can see him playing so respectfully here. Knows that level 6 will be hit by Fiora on this wave.
You obviously have to watch out for that grand challenge. It's the ultimate 1v1 ability. Aside from maybe the Death Realm that can come out from the Mordekaiser, force them to 1v1 you no matter what. But I think Kingen is happy to go for that one. FoFo trading with Doinb in the mid lane. Vanguard's Edge stolen by the hijack.
Xinmo had moved up, but so had Crisp, not wanting to take the 3v3 because they weren't entirely sure where Tian was.
Oh, Vanguard's Edge actually comes through from Doinb. Slow going to be there. Kick from Tian. Knock up goes on in. They don't commit for the kill because Meteor is there to protect his mid lane.
They are trying so desperately to shut down FoFo in this mid lane. Now Xinmo.
You may have overextended for this one, or maybe it was a bait all along. Xinmo pops the trample, goes for Tian, but nice flash away from the headbutt.
Great reactions from Tian. That can be so difficult to pull off. But does manage to escape away from the Alistar. And now we go back to, okay, where does this set us up? FoFo being put behind does not overly influence the game plan from BLG. BLG just want to get Kingen fed and let him be the big split pusher. That hasn't been stopped right now. Kingen is sitting with a CS advantage, a level advantage, and is going to have a lot more help coming through from Meteor as well. But it's going to be slowed down. Tian even has moved in towards this topside jungle to steal away all the camps and try and keep Meteor on this bottom side while Gimgoon forces this wave in.
Speaking of Gimgoon, he's going to force the fight with Kingen here. Dodges away from the riposte. Will be able to get a good amount of work done. But Kingen is not going to be alone here. Sonic Wave hits a minion. That should deter the action. Kingen actually had some reinforcements from Jinjiao with the True Shot Barrage. Tian once more on this one. He's going to force Kingen all the way back.
This is fine for Kingen though. All he's trying to do is make sure Tian's staying here while they pick up the dragon on the bottom side. Turret plating will go over to Gimgoon, but the CS lead already in favor of Kingen will only mean that they equal up in gold, but Kingen still has the advantages on this Fiora.
Doinb going to be able to have his priority in the mid lane as he shoves that wave in. You can see him now roaming up towards
Xinmo,
the top side. Xinmo's here from the side of BLG. They want to deter this play, but it looks like the play really from FPX is actually onto the Herald.
Xinmo's skirted around the edge of that vision, so they don't know that the Alistar is around. Although, as we say it, FPX, with Crisp here and Doinb in suit, will decide to back away and go towards this Rift Herald. BLG aren't even attempting to go for this.
Really, really nicely done here by FPX. Once again, they wrestle control of this first Herald, and it feels like, I say that every single game, it feels like FPX are always the ones to fight for the Herald.
Well, that's because BLG don't really care about the Herald. We've seen it since week 1, all about that. It was all up in the Rift Herald business, but that's not the case anymore. BLG have slowly slipped down right towards the bottom of the standings when it comes to Rift Herald control. And this was a game where they would have been able to use it to try and snowball the advantages for Kingen.
Meteor wants to do his Tian impression as they look for a bot lane dive.
Look at where Doinb is and look where Tian is though. They can't go for this play. This is all coming back to something I wanted to touch on before BLG started posturing, is the vision control for FPX. All of the blue control wards in the top side jungle are making sure they spot it when Meteor's going towards that play on the top side. If he's not on the top lane, okay, cool. Doinb, move across with us down towards the bottom lane, because Meteor is trying to accelerate these lanes as quickly as possible.
Now, it has to be said that the win condition here for the side of BLG definitely focuses on towards the mid stages, late stages of the game, with this split push available, with this Ezreal that's not going to do too much in the early game.
Definitely going to be the case, and I'm actually just looking at Kingen as well. This is again a change in style that we're seeing coming through thanks to the Blade of the Rune King changes on 10.5. Not going for the likes of this Triforce or the Tiamat. Means that yes, you'll do a lot more damage in this 1v1 very, very quickly, but it also means that you're going to be a lot more potent if you start to go for some of these objectives like the Rift Herald. The problem though, not as useful in team fights. You're not going to have this one-off big poke you can use, so Kingen is entirely avoiding team fights. So any fight that FPX can join together will be 4 versus 5, and right now it's 4 versus 1 against this turret in the bottom lane.
Doinb going to be the one gifted the gold, though, interestingly. Gimgoon pulls Meteor into the death realm. He wants a 1v1 with this Elise. Meteor will do a good amount of damage back to him, and the repel away from the obliterate keeps Meteor alive. But Gimgoon, he's done what he needed. He's deterred the dive.
They needed to do this before Gimgoon hit level 6. Now that they haven't, well, fantastic. FPX, they're going to get this bottom lane turret with the Hex Flash.
Will get away, though. Xinmo couldn't quite get in range of that one. Doinb with so much gold from those plates as well.
Well, look, we've been harping on about how Kingen is going to do, how the FoFo should be winning out in this lane, but FPX have stalled out a lot of the advantages that BLG could have used. Meteor wasn't able to get the Rift Herald. That's gone over to FPX. They crack open the first tower. Gimgoon is now capable of avoiding a lot of these ganks from Meteor thanks to the Death Realm. So FPX are looking to push their advantages with the other 4 members of the team. You have Doinb, who's been steadily picking up this gold, even though he's behind in levels, and is trying to keep himself as even as possible with this Irelia.
And we'll be able to do exactly that. On the other side of things, Lwx has moved up towards the mid lane. You can see Jinjiao now going to arrive to match so that the AD carries will be able to soak up as much gold as possible.
Kingen moving down towards this bottom lane is not where I'd like Kingen to be right now. I know they're trying to put a pressure down towards the dragon and Kingen doesn't have the teleport, but I don't think BLG want to take a 5v5 fight, and that's the option that they're giving to FPX right now. It's the 4v4 where BLG can win out, but in 5v5, the team fighting is far stronger and FPX is out.
Doinb, he wants to be tanky in this next fight, and he will get the Alistar ultimate on his hijack, so we'll be able to pop that, remove CC, and then gives him a whole bunch of resistances. And that's going to be available for this dragon fight. BLG, they got the first Drake of the game. It's not going to be able to turn into anything more. They can't snowball that advantage, as FPX will get the second.
So FPX, with the pressure they put in mid, can pick up the second dragon. Irelia is on the top side though, and FoFo will be able to answer for the turret plates that are being gotten in the mid, and this is how I want to see BLG play it. Open up the map, force FPX to try and fight them in these 1v1s, because Irelia will beat out this Mordekaiser and the Fiora will beat out the Mordekaiser, both because of the Blade of the Rune Kings that are there, and Doinb, well, unless he's up against FoFo, doesn't really have access to a ultimate that he can use as effective as his counterpart.
Doinb so far pretty comfortable in the 1v1 because of that Zhonya's. He has a lot of armor available to him. He's also picked up a Dark Seal in his most recent recall there. The question for me will be, can BLG set up properly for a split push style of play? Will they get collapsed on? Kingen the target right now as Doinb goes on in, keeps himself very tanky. Tian the target for Kingen, dodging away from everything. Grand entrance, gets the knock up onto Meteor, might turn it into 2 kills. Xinmo disrupting the fight, doing a good amount of work for his team. And he is so damn tanky, you just can't finish the Alistar.
And Munchables, you hit the nail on the head there. BLG haven't set up properly for their split push. Waves are all over the place. You have Kingen way overextended without anyone else on BLG being able to put pressure on the map. So it means FPX can collapse. They get the kill on Kingen. They shut down that pressure. And now they can continue these sieges on towards mid.
And you can see the focus on the turret plates there. Doinb, he went to the bottom side. 640 gold funneled into the mid laner. And isn't that just classic FPX? Isn't that just what we love about this team? You always see them focusing in onto Doinb. You always see him the one that's kind of often the win condition for this squad.
Well, why wouldn't you put on to Doinb? He's the second highest damage per minute as a mid laner, highest gold income as a mid laner, and is 31% of FPX's damage. This guy is the mainstay carry for FPX. And again, even in this matchup where he should struggle against the Irelia, he's found ways to get turret plates out of the bottom side of the map, avoid this demanding lane from FoFo, and keep himself relevant in this game.
Tian now looking towards a Rift Herald. This has been spotted out. BLG are going to be aware that this objective is being taken, but they have no answer. They have no way to contest it. You mentioned the stat earlier. They get 40% of the Heralds in their games, less than half, and you can see none of them going their way as they look for a dive. FPX getting onto FoFo, forces flash away. And they're more than happy to just rinse and repeat, go for these plays. Kingen, though, will answer in the bottom side.
They can't try and do anything here. Gimgoon's backed off to do the Krugs, knowing that Meteor's going to be around, but hey, do you know what's an unfair fight? When you've got a Rift Herald to help push with you, charge will go down, and they will most certainly get a charge onto this tier 2 as well. Meteor, you shouldn't be doing Krugs. You need to get back and help out the rest of BLG in defending this tier 2.
Chickens is not the answer right now. FoFo looking to try and get rid of this Herald. Flash forward from Xinmo. There's no mana on Doinb. Good kick, though, onto the likes of FoFo from Tian. Gimgoon teleports in, and suddenly Xinmo doesn't feel so tanky. Grand challenge comes out from Kingen. He wants to get onto Gimgoon, and he's found himself in a 1v1. That's going to be a kick on in. Kingen doesn't have the sustain. Grand entrance picks up the knockup. Xinmo forced away. He doesn't have his ultimate anymore. Meteor now arriving. Cocoon available. It's only going to be one onto the side of Kingen.
Aphelios can move back over into the mid lane. Lwx can catch this wave and then start to take down this mid lane turret. FPX are just toying with their food here to give time for Lwx to take the turret.
Very nicely done. Lwx, as you say, moves into the mid lane, and with the chakrams will be able to just annihilate the turret's health bar. Jinjiao's here in time, though, to answer for this play. So FPX, they don't get everything that they wanted out of this.
Almost able to do it, but still, they get gold, they get kills, they get pressure on this top side, and stop the likes of Kingen from having a free roam on this bottom lane. No teleport on the Fiora now means it's a lot easier for them to deal with her and not worry too much about some of these objectives that are going to be coming up soon. This is the engage that we saw. Tian does a great job of kicking FoFo out of the fight, and with no Blade Surge available to position back in, means that FPX can pick apart Xinmo, then Kingen as he tries to join the fight. And when Chris comes in with the quickness, well, it's lights out for the BLG side. And this is what we were saying. Meteor needed to back sooner. Needed to be there for that fight when it kicked off. Without the jungler and to provide that a bit more CC in the follow-up from Xinmo, FoFo and Kingen can't burst anyone down.
Gimgoon with insane wave clear now. He's got the Proto Belt. You have to give big props, though, to Xinmo in this game so far. On the Alistar, the unbreakable will, he knows how tanky he is, and he's really disrupting the plays from FPX, stopping them, being able to get quite as much as they want out of this skirmishes.
The problem here, though, is that FPX's 4-man is getting quite strong. The Infinity Edge completed for Lwx has completely bypassed the Essence Reaver, so his damage is going to be up another notch than you'd usually expect from the majority of Aphelios we've seen so far. He'll be working straight in towards the Rapid Fire, in towards the likes of a Runin's Hurricane, and then can start to really poke out the members of BLG that are the 3-man underneath their turrets trying to prevent the sieges from Lwx, Crisp and Tian.
Tian gets the Sonic Wave onto FoFo, but he knows he can't push for that one. Meteor takes a cheeky little chakram there, but there's no stack up available for Lwx, so it won't be too big of a deal. It's Jinjiao now going to be gifted over his red buff.
With where Kingen is positioned right now, he's not able to get onto too much more of an advantage in the top lane. That top lane turret is gone, so Gimgoon is just able to use the Proto Belt to push the wave back out before Kingen can overextend. So now instead what they're trying to do is, with the Baron now becoming a point of pressure on the map, have Kingen split push on the bottom, and with neither TP up and available, Kingen should be able to just play around on the bottom lane, force Gimgoon back, try and win more heavily in this matchup, and have the rest of BLG catch out members of FPX as they try to keep control of this mid lane and river.
They're not just looking for control of the mid lane, they're looking for a tower right now. Jinjiao forced away Crisp, wants the grand entrance, quickness pop, but nice flash from Jinjiao keeps him safe. Crisp's also going to be staying alive here. Doinb has the unbreakable will, uses it on the cocoon, keeps himself away from the CC. FPX get what they wanted, they grab the tower and leave.
And Kingen, you can see, with all this pressure FPX is able to put down, because their 3v3 is winning, Kingen and FoFo can't set up properly in the side lanes because they're consistently being drawn in to deal with the threat of FPX. BLG started off so well in this game, but now we're struggling to find the tempo advantage to give the split push a chance to live.
Dagda, I'm getting depressed watching this game. FPX, it feels like there's nothing going wrong for them. It feels like they're just doing whatever they want. Even though the gold's even, it still feels like FPX are just well and truly in control. Tell me something I want to hear. Tell me something good for BLG, because I'm running out of things that are going to work for them.
But the good news for Kingen is that he does have the QSS, so pretty much nullifies the Death Realm from Gimgoon. The Tiamat as well means that he's a much more potent split push threat. And I'm actually curious to see how Kingen starts to go from here, because you've got the Tiamat, you go up to the Ravenous Hydra, but what's going to be the third item? Is he going to go for the likes of the Black Cleaver, get some of that CDR into his build, which is what is really lacking, I think, here, just to try and chase down Gimgoon and also have the Grand Challenge up as often as possible, because this is full split push from Kingen. He's not trying to join in fights, or he shouldn't be, or with the much squishier build he has, thanks to Blade of the Rune King, he'll fall miserably short.
1v1 from Doinb. He's going straight onto FoFo. Vanguard's Edge for Vanguard's Edge. Now Crisp's arrived, and suddenly this 1v1 doesn't look so fair. Exhaust as insult to injury. Tian gets the killing blow.
And this is just FPX punishing BLG's positioning. Kingen was no longer pressuring bottom side because he backed. FoFo is overextending the side lane with no other pressure on the map from BLG. So this is, again, them picking off members that are straddling off the side. Now they can draw FPX into the team fight, which is where BLG are weakest.
Crisp gets the grand challenge and then dips, gets straight on out of there. Bait an ultimate out and leave immediately. Nicely done there by FPX. Obviously does deter the Baron, but realistically what they were looking for, as you said, was the fight.
They were really trying to get the teleport out of Kingen as well. If they can force Kingen to try and play with the rest of the team, well, that's a big win for FPX. At the moment, though, Kingen's not biting. He's moving over early once he sees FoFo go down, so he doesn't have to try and teleport into a play once the Baron is started up.
Now, we do see Kingen just returning back to this top lane once again. We'll stop Doinb getting his recall off.
And that's with 30 seconds on this dragon. So if Doinb's forced to stay up here, you could try and use the teleporting Kingen for a numbers advantage. Kingen, not great in a 5v5 scenario, but that 4v5 is a different story.
Certainly is. 20 seconds until the Drake spawns. Doinb will head back to base now. You can see Gimgoon has moved up to the top side to match the likes of Kingen. Doinb, how fast can he actually get to the rest of his squad? Has his tier 2 boots. The home guard will be in play at this point in the game as well. Dragon spawn. BLG, the ones with priority.
BLG lost their window of opportunity though. Now it's going to be a 5v5 because both teleports are on the top side of the map.
Kingen moving on down already. Here we go. Xinmo, the target. Drops his Iron Will. That's going to be Crisp getting CC across the entire team. Heal onto Xinmo. Keeps himself alive. Doinb chasing on in. Gimgoon's found Meteor. And I don't think the Spider wins that one out. Gimgoon walks on forward to find himself an easy kill, and now he goes on to King, and in the meantime, Jinjiao's been found by Doinb. Flash from Lwx as he gets one. And BLG, they're just split apart and taken down. Gimgoon, with a double kill.
The curse strikes again. BLG don't set up their waves in time, can't create pressure on the top side of the map because there's still the tier 1 sitting there for FPX. FPX draw them into the 5v5 where FPX stand king and they will take down the Baron as a reward.
They'll be able to grab the Baron buff for themselves, and we've already seen it this series. When FPX are able to get a Baron, they can take so many towers with this objective in a singular push. We'll see what they'll be able to do this time around.
Oh, they don't
BLG
even
don't even get the dragon.
No, they're too afraid of Doinb and Crisp moving down.
Heartbreaking.
This is... Now FPX with Baron enhanced recalls can make it back in time to fight again, but this is where Kingen doesn't even bother using the teleport to get in. So this is actually a 4v5 fight for a large portion of this. And when already we said, look, this is FPX territory. If you're going to enter already at a numbers disadvantage, I don't know what you expect to go well in that situation.
You could see Meteor had pretty much given up in that fight as well. He was kind of just stood waiting for his spider form to change. Shut down as well, going on to the Aphelios.
Dragon goes over towards FPX in that replay too. So FPX now sitting at soul point, which is a mountain soul for the team fighting composition. That's exactly what FPX would like. The only one that would really be, well actually there's two that would be better, Ocean Soul or Inferno Soul. So third place is still on the podium at least.
Yeah, you still get a little trophy, even if it's only small. Trophy's a trophy, mate. But they're not racing right here, unless you're talking about speed running League of Legends, because it's 26 minutes into the game and they're already looking to try and break the base. Doinb kicked on in though. Zhonya's. Tian going to be there to try and protect his mid lane and won't be able to do so. Crisp used the quickness as well. BLG will actually deter the play. Doinb just way too aggressive.
Wasn't able to pick off Xinmo's ults as well. The snatch from Doinb was still slightly on cooldown for the Alistar, so wasn't able to keep himself alive and get out of that one. So FPX, yes, they're dissuaded, but they did get 2 more turrets for themselves, and this is all about putting more pressure onto the split push comp.
Ooh.
The further back you are, the harder it is for Kingen and FoFo to get those lanes in order and actually get to the tempo advantage to start putting pressure on FPX.
I don't know if you saw that as the observers looked on in. The turret actually blocking the vision from the control ward, so that ward's still going to be in play. Knockup doesn't land onto Jinjiao. I was too excited about the turret. I was too excited about the control ward.
That's how you know it hasn't been the best of games for a play-by-play.
Look at that. Ah, interesting. Yes, very interesting.
Every time you make that noise, I just think of that Dark Crystal show. You haven't seen it, and I need to show you.
I don't get the reference.
It's just every time. It's just the Chamberlain sound. That's all I can think of.
Well, I don't know. You guys can Google that one. But what BLG need to Google is a Mobify guide right now on how to win against FPX. But I'm not sure anyone on Mobify knows the answer.
It ain't looking too hot. Mobify, pro builds, whatever the hell you want to use. I think it's long past the stage where they can help you. It's a miracle that they need. The composition that they have once it falls behind is so much more difficult to enact, and FPX are making sure that they're not able to do so. Clearing out vision so you can't even try and push out these waves away from your turret without fear of being collapsed on by FPX.
Now on towards the top lane tier 2 and FPX. This is already, it feels like formalities for them. Tian finds the Sonic Wave. Not going to commit to try and get a kick onto Jinjiao though.
Kingen's in the bottom side, so they are trying to match, but I don't think you're far enough ahead now as Kingen to punish in the same way you would have been if this game had gone in the favor of BLG.
Yep.
So FPX get the turret for free. Dragon now in a minute and 50. They're going to back away and try and threaten the last Dragon soul against BLG.
And it's such a great place to be as well from the side of Gimgoon, because he knows Kingen can't go for any kind of dives or anything like that. He's gone for the Proto Belt as well, so he has the wave clear to just deter this split push. It's such a nice position. Gimgoon knows that he's completely safe to be aggressive. He knows he can just clear these minions.
And has even got the stopwatch there as well. Kingen is going to get caught out, though.
He ain't going to need a stopwatch. It's going to be Kingen that needs some kind of defensive abilities right now. He's got his own ultimate channeled against him from Doinb. 2 grand challenges, but it ain't going to be that grand for you, King. And he goes down. Doinb gets his 3rd kill of the game.
I don't think it's really a challenge. That looked like a very unfair fight. Completely imbalanced, and BLG will, yes, get up towards this top side to get some sort of wards. But does it really matter when FPX are looking towards the base?
I would say no. I would say it does not matter that much, to be honest.
That is a solid answer, because 40 seconds on this Dragon, they can turn towards it. No vision, no real hope of this. Can they not see it?
Maybe it's a...
LWX
it's got to be a bug.
Right past
it's got to be a bug.
It has to be.
I don't believe it. Oh.
I like the way observers
No
are like,
way.
hang on a second.
It's not even a bug. They just don't even know it's there. There's like a pocket of vision. Oh my goodness. The plays from BLG. Doinb's seen it, but he's not interested in the ward. He wants Xinmo. Unbreakable Will gets you tanky. But how tanky? That's the question. Not tanky enough. Or is it? Headbutt? No, he's still going to go down. Doinb gets the kill. And as I said before, this is just formalities now for FPX. Unless Lwx goes way too far forward, has to use his stopwatch, but he's baited in Meteor. The rappel goes up, and he won't be able to get away, or will he? Moonlight Vigil, even with the Infernum, not enough to finish off the kills. They just get the support in Xinmo.
Lwx was too antsy to step forward. Caused FPX quite a bit there. Will still be able to turn towards this Dragon, but got to be careful about BLG trying to come back in here.
Kingen clearing the ward, but this Drake will go down very quickly. And suddenly, this lineup from FPX looks even more difficult to take down.
And it's perfect timing as well. They can back and start to go over towards this Baron. And yes, BLG could look to burst it down incredibly quickly, but that doesn't seem to be the call. FoFo is backing. They're not convinced that they can sneak it away before FPX re-enter the map.
I mean, why would you try and make a decisive play to win the game when you cannot, you know?
I mean, at this stage, you got to make something happen. You're not going to win with the normal play. Baron would give you the tempo advantage that BLG are really struggling for in this game because your minions are so much damn harder to kill. But you don't want it, apparently. BLG, the slow death is the best death.
I want to see a miracle. I want to see something happen. I want to see BLG make the play. Let's see a pick. Let's see something. Jinjiao,
see
you've
life.
got...
Anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 items on this Ezreal. Jinjiao is going to be strong in these fights if he can kite it out. But that's the thing, Ezreal, it's about long sustained damage. It's not about upfront burst.
Minion wave gathering up speed on that bottom side as well. Someone with BLG will have to eventually go and deal with that. So that's why FPX are taking this nice and slow. Top is also going to slowly start to build up. Kingen is going to go deal with the bottom wave, which will be the go button for FPX to start the fight.
Kingen's pinged the on the way ping onto that bot lane tier 2, but it's a long time until he'll get there.
No teleport either, so Kingen now has cleared out the wave, looking to join back with the team. FPX used this opportunity to clear out the vision. They're not going to start up the bar. Well, I was going to say they haven't started up the Baron because they don't want to give the opportunity for BLG to find huge damage with the setup from Xinmo and FoFo. This pit is still a pretty dangerous area for the ultimates that are available on BLG.
And it's honestly so impressive to see the discipline on FPX. They don't step out of line. They don't make these mistakes. You saw Doinb going too aggressive onto the base. You saw Lwx positioning a little bit too far forward in the last fight. Since then, they go, okay, we're done messing about now. It's one apiece in the series. Time to be serious. Time to play macro and get this Baron.
Time to play Aphelios things because he's got those 2 guns that are a beauty for taking down the Baron. BLG moving in.
Xinmo steps forward. Gimgoon going to be off to the side. Can look for a 1v1. He'll actually look for Xinmo himself. In the meantime, Baron goes down. Knockup comes onto Kingen. Meteor, the first one to fall in the fight. Jinjiao jumps away, but he's chased down, and a double kill goes the way of Doinb on the Sylas. With the teleports channeled, this looks like it might be game.
Kingen the only one surviving, stopping the clean ace from FPX. But
The observers look towards the control ward, the last bastion of hope for BLG, but I don't think FPX care about clearing it.
no, they don't even a little. FPX will take home the win versus BLG.
Control ward be damned, says FPX. They want the win. 2-1. The curse is very real for BLG. And FPX goes 6-2, a 6-win streak on the books.
And 2-6 for BLG, a team with high hopes coming into our split. BLG have a long way to fall, and how far can they fall?
It's been a rough series for them. Great game one.
Brilliant game one.
I have to give credit to Lyric. Like, I have to say it. He said to me before this series, BLG will look great in game one. They'll get a convincing win against FPX, and then FPX will body them 2 games straight. I don't know how he predicted it, but he has hit the nail on the head there, to be quite honest.
Maybe it's not a curse. Maybe it is just Lyric is actually a prophet.
I think he could get a job as an analyst, you know. Maybe even a coach.
Maybe, actually.
You know?
Should we chat to him?
Yeah, there's a potential career right there for him. Anyway, Doinb, look at the Sylas right there. 20,000 damage, far beyond anyone else in the game. And you can see the priority on Sylas now. You can see why FPX loves this pick. It's not even about the ults you can steal.
And it's not about how well Doinb was in this matchup, because this was very heavily FoFo favored. Even with that, though, Doinb still manages to come out top. Because it's not about Doinb versus FoFo. It's about the entirety of FPX setting up Doinb to succeed against FoFo. Crisp comes up, Tian comes up. They set up 2 ganks into the mid lane. Then it's Doinb, hop out of lane. You need to go collect some turret plates on the bottom side. This is what makes Doinb and FPX so strong, is that it's not a case of we're in a bad matchup, we're going to let you roll over us as a result. We're going to outthink you, outsmart you, and come out on top in that match.
It's the classic FPX of lane matchups be damned. If we've got a bad matchup, we'll swap lanes. If we've got a bad situation, we'll support that player and set them up for success. It's what we've seen here with the Sylas of Doinb. And this split push composition coming out from BLG, I wanted it to work. I wanted the blind pick Fiora to be a success. Well, it wasn't technically blind, obviously the Mordekaiser. It's kind of a flex.
It was set up though. Oh, sorry, it wasn't set up as hard as it could have been. We saw one gank go top, they got the dive, it looked fantastic, and then Meteor was like, cool, you're on your own. That's not what you want to do. When you have
and Meteor
this Fiora,
got the kill as well.
Yeah, exactly. And when
like,
Meteor
is
abandoning this Fiora, who's the prime win condition on this team,